During that time, I consider the years I spent on I Love Lucy to be perhaps the biggest ripoff of my career.
The I Love Lucy cast has revealed what most fans never figured out. America's most beloved sitcom family was actually falling apart behind the cameras. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's marriage was crumbling from alcoholism and serial infidelity.
You know, when you and Desi were married, you had everything.
He had nothing. He was he had his own band, and he was in a play in New York, and he was a kid.
When you were married. But
When he was married.
William Frawley and Vivian Vance despised each other so intensely that Vance celebrated with champagne when Frawley died.
Hey, boss! There's a dame here to see you.
The show that symbolized perfect 1950s family life was built on deception, hatred, and secrets that would destroy careers and relationships. So let's get into it. When CBS executives first heard that Lucille Ball wanted her Cuban husband, Desi Arnaz, to play her television spouse, they were horrified. In 1951 America, interracial marriages were not just controversial, they were illegal in many states. Network executives bluntly told Ball that the public wouldn't believe I was married to Desi because of his thick Cuban accent and Latin heritage. The resistance went beyond mere prejudice. Television sponsors worried that showcasing a mixed-race couple would alienate viewers in the segregated South, potentially costing millions in advertising revenue. Philip Morris, their eventual sponsor, initially balked at the concept, fearing backlash from conservative audiences who weren't ready to see a white woman married to a Latino man on their television screens. Ball refused to compromise. She had already experienced the pain of their conflicting schedules, with Desi touring with his band while she worked in Hollywood films. The constant separations had nearly destroyed their marriage by 1940, leading to explosive fights and accusations of infidelity. Ball saw the television show as their last chance to save their relationship by working together. To prove the studio wrong, Ball and Arnaz created a vaudeville act and toured the country in 1950. The audience's enthusiastic reception proved that America was ready to accept their partnership, but only after they demonstrated its commercial viability. The tour's success forced CBS to greenlight the show, though executives remained nervous about the unprecedented casting choice. The decision to film in Hollywood rather than broadcast live from New York was equally controversial. Most television shows use kinescope recording, which produced blurry, low-quality images. Ball and Arnaz insisted on using expensive 35mm film and 3 cameras to capture their performances, a technique that would become the industry standard but was initially considered a risky financial gamble. Their insistence on retaining ownership of the filmed episodes was the smartest business decision in entertainment history. While CBS executives saw no value in old television shows, Ball and Arnaz understood they were creating something timeless. This decision would eventually make them television's first millionaires and invent the concept of reruns, fundamentally changing how the industry operated. The controversies surrounding their marriage would pale in comparison to the secrets that emerged once filming began. While America fell in love with Lucy and Ricky Ricardo's playful on-screen marriage, the reality of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's relationship was far darker. Their 20-year marriage was plagued by Arnaz's chronic alcoholism and compulsive infidelity, problems that began almost immediately after their 1940 elopement. Ball first filed for divorce in 1944, citing Arnaz's drinking and affairs with other women. She obtained an interlocutory decree, but reconciled when Arnaz promised to change his behavior. The reconciliation was temporary. His touring schedule with the band provided endless opportunities for extramarital encounters, and Ball suspected he was unfaithful during every road trip. By the time I Love Lucy premiered, their marriage existed primarily for public consumption. Arnaz's womanizing had escalated to hiring multiple simultaneously, according to Associated Press reporter Jim Bacon, who witnessed him call in 8 for a single evening in Palm Springs. Arnaz would sit floor singing Babalu while surrounded by the women he had hired. Ball tried various strategies to cope with his infidelity. Sometimes she closed her eyes and ignored the obvious signs. Other times she retaliated with her own brief affair with actor Robert Mitchum. The constant stress took its toll on her health and sanity, but she remained committed to preserving their public image as America's perfect couple. The breaking point came when Confidential magazine published an exposé about Arnaz's affairs in 1955. Ball's publicist gave her an advance copy, and the cast watched nervously as she read it in her dressing room. When she emerged, she casually tossed the magazine to Arnaz and said, "Oh, hell, I could tell them worse than that," revealing she had known about his infidelities for years. Their children, Lucy and Desi Jr., grew up witnessing constant fighting and screaming matches. Lucy later described their home life as filled with a lot of anger and screaming and called their divorce horrible. The perfect family that America saw on television was actually a nightmare of dysfunction and verbal abuse. Despite the public facade, Ball described living with Arnaz as being married to Jekyll and Hyde, never knowing which personality would emerge depending on his alcohol consumption and mood. The on-screen chemistry between Ethel and Fred Mertz masked one of Hollywood's most vicious feuds.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Vivian Vance and William Frawley's mutual hatred was so intense that when Frawley died of a heart attack in 1966, Vance was dining in a restaurant and reportedly shouted, "Champagne for everybody," upon hearing the news. The animosity began during casting when 42-year-old Vance was horrified to learn she would be playing the wife of 64-year-old Frawley. She complained loudly that, "No one will believe I'm married to that old coot," and Frawley overheard her disparaging comments about their 22-year age difference. From that moment, their professional relationship became a daily battle of insults and sabotage. Frawley retaliated by lobbying writers to include lines that mocked Ethel's appearance. He successfully got references written into scripts describing Ethel as having a figure like a sack of doorknobs and other cruel physical insults. He privately called Vance an old fat ass and a while she referred to him as an old poop and that stubborn-headed little Irishman. The hatred extended beyond verbal sparring. Vance would scan each new script specifically to count how many scenes she had to perform with Frawley, dreading any intimate moments their characters might share. When I Love Lucy ended, producers offered both actors their own Fred and Ethel spin-off series. Despite the lucrative opportunity, Vance immediately refused, stating she would never work with Frawley again under any circumstances. Their animosity was so well known that Frawley later attempted petty revenge during Vance's work on The Lucy Show. He would sneak onto the soundstage and deliberately drop film canisters loudly during Vance's scenes, forcing expensive retakes and disrupting production. This vindictive behavior continued years after their I Love Lucy collaboration had ended. Ironically, their real-life hatred may have enhanced their on-screen performances. The authentic tension between them translated into believable marital bickering that audiences found hilarious, never suspecting the genuine animosity fueling their interactions. Despite Vance's celebration of his death, she later offered a more charitable assessment, saying, "There's a great big amusing light gone out of this world," suggesting their relationship was more complicated than pure hatred. William Frawley's hiring for I Love Lucy was controversial from the beginning. CBS executives strongly opposed casting the 64-year-old vaudevillian because of his well-known reputation as an unreliable alcoholic. Studio bosses worried that his drinking would disrupt production schedules and create on-set chaos, but Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz insisted on hiring him, despite the warnings. Frawley's personal life was as troubled as his professional reputation suggested. His marriage had ended in divorce, and he lived alone in a bachelor apartment in Hollywood, maintaining few close relationships. His antisocial personality and notorious temper made him difficult to work with, earning him a reputation as one of the industry's most unpleasant performers. His alcoholism was an open secret that required constant management. Desi Arnaz had to personally warn Frawley about punctuality and sobriety, making it clear that his job depended on showing up sober and on time. Despite these warnings, Frawley's drinking continued throughout the show's run, though he managed to maintain professional standards during filming. The extent of Frawley's prejudices became apparent in his treatment of Vivian Vance and his language about other cast members. According to multiple sources, he routinely used profanity and slurs when referring to his colleagues, displaying particularly vicious animosity toward Vance that went beyond normal personality conflicts. Frawley's famous contract clause requiring time off during Yankees World Series games revealed his obsessive personality and inflexibility. He was so devoted to baseball that he successfully negotiated this unusual provision, demonstrating his willingness to prioritize personal interests over professional obligations. His final years were marked by increasing isolation and bitterness. After I Love Lucy ended, He found work on My Three Sons, but never felt comfortable with the show's out-of-sequence filming methods. He complained constantly about the technical differences and seemed to resent that his later role never matched the success and recognition he received as Fred Mertz. When Frawley suffered his fatal heart attack while walking on Hollywood Boulevard in 1966, he died essentially alone, reflecting the isolated life he had created through his difficult personality and destructive behaviors. Vivian Vance's journey to playing Ethel Mertz was marked by personal struggles and professional disappointments that shaped her complicated relationship with fame. Before I Love Lucy, she had suffered through difficult years on Broadway, where her career never achieved the success she had hoped for, leaving her financially vulnerable and emotionally fragile. When director Mark Daniels recommended her for the role of Ethel, Vance was 42 years old and desperate for steady work. Her previous marriage had ended, and she was struggling to establish herself in Hollywood's competitive entertainment industry. The role of Ethel represented both a professional breakthrough and a personal compromise that would define the rest of her career. Vance's deep resentment about being cast as Fred Mertz's wife went beyond simple vanity about the age difference. As an accomplished stage actress, she felt demeaned by having to play what she considered a dowdy, unattractive character opposite an elderly man. She had envisioned herself in more glamorous roles befitting her training and talent. Her relationship with Lucille Ball was complex and sometimes strained. While Ball appreciated Vance's talent, she also recognized that Vance posed a potential threat as an attractive, talented performer. Ball actually required Vance to gain weight and dress unflatteringly to ensure she never upstaged Lucy's character, creating additional resentment. Vance's 4 marriages reflected her ongoing search for personal stability and happiness that she never fully achieved. Her romantic relationships were often troubled, and she struggled with the demands of maintaining her career while seeking personal fulfillment. The pressures of playing Ethel Mertz became both a blessing and a curse that defined her professional identity. When I Love Lucy ended, Vance found herself typecast as the frumpy best friend, limiting her ability to pursue the more sophisticated roles she craved. She continued working with Ball on subsequent shows, but always felt constrained by the public's perception of her as Ethel Mertz. Her later years were marked by declining health and increasing bitterness about the career opportunities she felt she had missed. Despite winning Emmy Awards and achieving financial success, she never escaped the feeling that playing Ethel had cost her the artistic recognition she truly desired. Keith Thibodeau's experience as Little Ricky revealed the dark reality of child stardom in 1950s Hollywood. At age 5, he was already earning $500 per week as a professional drummer with the Horace Heidt Orchestra, demonstrating musical abilities that made him a natural choice for the role of Ricky Ricardo's son. When Desi Arnaz hired Thibodeau, he immediately changed the child's name from Keith Thibodeau to Richard Keith, claiming that audiences couldn't pronounce his Cajun surname. However, this name change served a more manipulative purpose. It helped blur the lines between reality and fiction, allowing audiences to believe that Little Ricky was actually Lucy and Desi's real son. The deception was deliberate and extensive. Thibodeau never received individual screen credit during I Love Lucy's run. The credits simply listed Little Ricky alongside the adult actors' names. This erasure of his professional identity was designed to maintain the illusion that he was genuinely part of the Arnaz family rather than a hired performer. Thibodeau became deeply integrated into the Arnaz family's personal life, attending family gatherings, vacations, and public events. He was often confused with Desi Arnaz Jr., who was born on the same day as Little Ricky's television birth. This confusion persisted throughout his life, with fans unable to distinguish between the fictional character and the real Arnaz child. The psychological impact of this blurred identity became apparent in Thibodeau's later struggles. He admitted that he didn't really enjoy playing Little Ricky, preferring to fantasize about roles like Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer that would have allowed him more authentic self-expression. He felt constrained by Little Ricky's goody-goody character, which didn't match his own personality. As an adult, Thibodeau faced serious challenges including addiction, depression, and thoughts. He attributed many of these problems to the unnatural childhood he experienced in Hollywood, where he was never allowed to be a normal kid. His 1994 autobiography, Life After Lucy, detailed his difficult journey to overcome these psychological wounds. The exploitation of his childhood labor and identity erasure represented broader problems in how Hollywood treated child performers during television's early years. When Lucille Ball became pregnant during I Love Lucy's second season, it created an unprecedented crisis for 1950s television. Pregnancy was considered too suggestive for family viewing, and network censors initially demanded that Ball hide her condition or leave the show entirely.
Question about it, gee. She wallows around like a big elephant. There's no way. No way to hide her for 6 months, you know.
The word pregnant was banned from television, forcing writers to use euphemisms like expecting. CBS consulted with religious leaders from multiple denominations to determine how to handle Ball's pregnancy without offending conservative viewers. Catholic, Protestant, and Jewish religious authorities all weighed in on whether showing a pregnant woman on television violated community standards or religious doctrine. The compromise solution revealed the era's hypocrisy. Lucy and Ricky Ricardo were depicted sleeping in separate twin beds, implying that they had never engaged in activity. Yet the show simultaneously celebrated Lucy's pregnancy as a blessed event, creating a logical contradiction that no one acknowledged. Ball's pregnancy storyline became television's most watched event when 44 million viewers tuned in to see Little Ricky's birth on January 19, 1953. This massive audience exceeded the viewership for President Eisenhower's inauguration the following day, demonstrating television's growing cultural influence and the public's fascination with the Ricardo family. The timing of Little Ricky's television birth was precisely coordinated with Desi Arnaz Jr.'s actual birth, creating another layer of confusion between reality and fiction. The show's writers had to guess Ball's due date months in advance to schedule the episode's production, requiring careful medical monitoring throughout her pregnancy. Behind the scenes, Ball's pregnancy added enormous stress to an already troubled marriage. Desi Arnaz's drinking and infidelity continued throughout her pregnancy, creating emotional turmoil during what should have been a joyous time. Ball later described feeling isolated and unsupported during this vulnerable period. The pregnancy episode's success established a new template for incorporating real-life events into television storylines, influencing how future shows would handle similar situations. However, the personal cost to Ball and her family remained hidden from audiences who saw only the charming fictional version of their lives. Few fans know that Lucille Ball nearly lost her career and freedom due to accusations of communist sympathies during the height of McCarthyism in the 1950s. In 1953, just as I Love Lucy was reaching peak popularity, Ball faced investigation by the House Un-American Activities Committee for allegedly registering as a Communist Party member in 1936. The accusation stemmed from Ball's registration to vote in California's 1936 primary election, where she had allegedly registered as a communist to please her socialist grandfather, Fred Hunt. FBI files later revealed that investigators had monitored Ball's activities for years, collecting evidence of her supposed radical sympathies and associations with suspected communist organizations. The investigation threatened to destroy both Ball's career and I Love Lucy's success. In the 1950s America, communist accusations could end careers instantly, and many entertainers found themselves blacklisted based on mere suspicion of leftist sympathies. The committee's investigation of Ball represented a direct attack on America's most beloved television star. Desi Arnaz's Cuban heritage complicated the situation further. As a refugee from Cuba's political upheaval, his presence in the investigation raised additional questions about foreign influence and potential subversive activities. Some investigators suspected that the couple might be using their television platform to spread communist propaganda. Ball appeared before the committee in closed-door sessions, explaining that her voter registration was a mistake made to appease her grandfather and that she had no genuine communist sympathies. She provided detailed testimony about her political beliefs and activities, desperately trying to clear her name before the accusations became public. When news of the investigation leaked, CBS executives panicked, fearing advertiser boycotts and public backlash that could destroy the network's most profitable show. The scandal threatened to expose the entertainment industry's vulnerability to political persecution and the fragility of celebrity careers during the Cold War era. Desi Arnaz publicly defended his wife at a press conference, famously stating, "Lucy has never been a communist. Lucy is as American as Barney Google and apple pie." His spirited defense helped rally public support, but the investigation cast a shadow over their personal and professional lives that lasted for years. Behind I Love Lucy's polished episodes lay a world of production secrets and manipulative practices that fans never suspected. The show's innovative three-camera filming technique, while groundbreaking, was initially implemented to hide technical problems and control costs rather than for artistic reasons. The live studio audience that provided authentic laughter was carefully managed and manipulated to ensure proper responses. Desi Arnaz served as master of ceremonies before each filming, warming up the crowd and coaching them on when to laugh and applaud. Audience members who didn't respond enthusiastically were sometimes asked to leave and replaced with more cooperative viewers. Lucy's famous physical comedy routines often required multiple takes and careful planning that contradicted the show's spontaneous appearance. The grape-stomping scene in Lucy's Italian movie became violent when Lucy genuinely fought with opera singer Teresa Torelli D'Amico, who Ball claimed nearly drowned her during filming. The unscripted violence made the scene more authentic, but revealed the dangerous reality behind the comedy. The show's cigarette sponsorship by Philip Morris required constant product placement that bordered on propaganda. Every episode featured cigarettes prominently, with characters smoking throughout scenes to normalize tobacco use and associate it with the good life. Ball and Arnaz appeared in commercials promoting cigarettes, even while knowing about health risks. Writers deliberately created storylines that would showcase Ball's comedic talents while hiding her personal struggles and marital problems. The Lucy Ricardo character's childlike enthusiasm and innocent troublemaking served as a stark contrast to Ball's real-life experiences with infidelity, alcoholism, and domestic turmoil. Production schedules were manipulated to accommodate Arnaz's drinking and Ball's personal crises, with filming often delayed or rescheduled to manage the star's personal problems. The show's technical crew became expert at covering for their stars' unprofessional behavior and personal difficulties. The series' rerun value was deliberately enhanced through careful cinematography and technical decisions that ensured the episodes would remain watchable for decades. This forward-thinking approach was motivated by financial considerations rather than artistic vision, demonstrating the commercial calculations underlying every creative decision. The cast of I Love Lucy paid a devastating personal price for creating America's most beloved sitcom. Their professional success masked personal tragedies that ultimately destroyed the relationships and lives that made the show possible. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's divorce in 1960 marked the end of not just their marriage, but their creative partnership that had revolutionized television. Ball cited extreme cruelty and grievous mental suffering in the divorce papers, documenting years of alcoholism and infidelity that had made their marriage unbearable. Arnaz didn't contest the charges, essentially admitting to the destructive behavior that had torn their family apart. William Frawley died alone and bitter in 1966, never recovering from the isolation and alcoholism that had defined his later years. His estrangement from the I Love Lucy family was complete by the time of his death, with only Desi Arnaz taking out a newspaper ad saying "Buenas noches, amigo." Vivian Vance's champagne celebration of his death revealed the lasting hatred their collaboration had generated. Vance herself never escaped the shadow of Ethel Mertz, finding herself typecast and unable to achieve the dramatic roles she had always craved. Her later years were marked by declining health and resentment about the career limitations that playing Ethel had imposed on her artistic ambitions. Keith Thibodeau struggled with addiction and depression for years after his childhood stardom ended, ultimately requiring religious conversion to overcome the psychological damage from his early Hollywood experiences. His exploitation as a child performer represented broader problems with how the entertainment industry treated young talent. The show's innovations in filming, production, and business practices revolutionized television, but couldn't save the people who created them. The three-camera technique, syndication model, and integration of pregnancy storylines became industry standards that influenced every subsequent sitcom. Yet the personal cost to the pioneers who developed these innovations was enormous. I Love Lucy's enduring popularity creates a bitter irony. Audiences continue to enjoy the fictional happiness of the Ricardo family, while the real people who brought those characters to life suffered through broken marriages, addiction, mental illness, and premature death. The show's legacy is both a testament to their creative genius and a monument to the price of entertainment success in 1950s Hollywood. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.